Well, good afternoon, everybody. And first off, happy Easter Sunday to all of you. Happy Passover, whatever holiday you are celebrating. But we are not celebrating what is coming our way for Monday. This is meteorologist Joe Rayo. And I wanted to get online here late this Easter afternoon to talk a little bit about what we are going to be facing here on Monday, what I'm calling a three-pronged sou'easter on Monday. The tri state metropolitan area is going to face a rather formidable day of weather on Monday. By the time night falls on Monday evening, we will have probably have gone through a variety of weather conditions, ranging from bouts of heavy, showery rains, very strong to possibly damaging gusts of wind, and the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms. Quite a bit of weather in a relatively short interval of time. We're talking about a 12 to 18-hour time frame, and it all will begin in the after midnight hours tonight. Now, because the winds will be coming primarily from a south and south direction, I'm going to be referring to this system as a sou'easter. People have been asking me today, are we going to be hit by a nor'easter? No, this is not going to be winds from the north and northeast or east. This is going to be a southerly or south-southeasterly wind component. That's why I'm calling it a sou'easter. I'm also referring to this as a three-pronged weather disturbance in order to highlight the three main weather issues of concern that may adversely influence our weather during Monday. And we're going to highlight these here in chronological order. First of all, let's talk about those showery rains that will be heading our way beginning in the after midnight hours tonight. Now, a strong, warm frontal system is going to be advancing toward our area from the south and west tonight into early Monday. In its advance, rain will begin breaking out across the region in the after midnight hours and will become steadier and heavier toward daybreak. Now, you can see here on the radar that has been on your screen now for the past couple of minutes, this broad area of moisture. This is the area that we're watching. Showery and embedded areas of heavy rain, and also, sadly, down here in parts of the Tennessee and Mississippi River Valley, they have been under the gun today for the potential for very severe weather. In fact, even tornadic activity. These areas of red that you see, that's entering, entering Alabama, for example, and is heading also for parts of Tennessee, and eventually will be moving into Georgia. These are potent thunderstorms, which may carry with them funnel clouds and also tornadic activity. And again, that is not too good. The last thing we want to see, especially on a day like today, Easter Sunday, is to have to report on potential for tornadic activity in this part of the country. Now, the same weather system that is causing all of this activity now is going to be working its way north and eastward toward us. This is a warm front here. We have a cold front that is located back here over into Mississippi and Louisiana. And this system is moving again on a northeast trajectory up in our direction. That's why we're saying right now that we're expecting rain here, breaking out after midnight tonight. And during the first half of Monday, we'll see occasional heavy showers accompanied by some rumbles of thunder, tapering off by early afternoon. And the rainfall totals are likely to be in the 1 to 2-inch range. Now, right now, I'll move the camera here to give you another view of the radar from a different perspective. And you can see that here, we already have being picked up on the radar up in this area. We're already beginning to see some precipitation trying to break out over southeastern Pennsylvania and central New Jersey, although a lot of what is occurring here is probably not reaching the ground. The atmosphere across much of the Northeast is still relatively warm, relatively dry, I should say, and also will be getting warmer behind this cold front. So right now, I'm not expecting much of any precipitation in the coming hours, but after midnight, we will begin to see some wet weather in the form of some rain and showers, and the heavy-duty precipitation, the stuff that's going to bring possibly some puddling of roadways and also possibly some localized flooding in areas of poor drainage. That'll be heading our way for the first half of the day on Monday. High temperatures on Monday, by the way, will be chiefly in the low and mid 60s. It'll be a balmy day on Monday, but also it is going to be a rather wet one with all of that rain heading our way. Now, let me move the camera again because I want to move to my next graphic here. the possibility of damaging winds. Unfortunately, we may be looking at some rather significant weather in the form of wind coming our way as we move into the beginning of Monday and through the first half of Monday. What you're seeing on your screen right now is the 18Z NAM model, North American model. And I want you to pay particular attention here to these lines that you see. These are isobars, lines of equal atmospheric pressure. Whenever we see these lines get closer to each other, when they get squeezed together, that means we have a tighter pressure gradient developing, and the tighter those lines get, the more significant the wind field will be. And again, these winds will be basically coming straight up from the south and southeast over the course of the next 12 to 18 hours. This is also going to show you the progression of the wet weather that we just spoke of. That's the areas of green here. We're moving now from 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11, 12 midnight. And notice here that at midnight, the NAM is predicting that the front end of the significant rain will be moving into central and western Jersey and into northeastern Pennsylvania. Give it another couple of more hours, let's say out to about 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Certainly by 2 a.m., we will be in it. We will be seeing rain not only throughout the lower Hudson Valley, but also northern Jersey and across much of Long Island as well. Also want to point out to you that the darker shades of green is a heavier dose of rain. The yellows, and you see them there here in southeastern Pennsylvania, that is indicative of heavy rainfall and possibly even some embedded thunder and lightning as well. And as we move through the overnight hours tonight and on into the first part of the day on Monday, we're going to be seeing again a heavier dose of rain coming in. This map is for 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And if you take this by face value, you can see some yellows, a darker shade of yellow-orange here. That seems to indicate that we're going to be into a heavier dose of rain just in time for the morning rush hour. Of course, in the current COVID-19 scenario that we're all enduring, there isn't going to be much of a rush hour, I think, on Monday. But for anyone who has to be on the roadway, let's say 6 or 7 a.m. on Monday morning, be advised we could be in line for some rather potent rainfall at that time. And notice also the lines, the isobars getting closer together, the pressure gradient tightening up. This is not just going to be rain. This is going to be a windswept heavy rain that'll be hitting us during the early part of the day on Monday. And those winds are only going to continue to rev up as the gradient tightens up during the first half of the day on Monday. As you can see, we have more yellow. That's 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, 10 a.m. And those pressure gradient of the isobars are relatively tight together. Now, what does this mean in terms of wind? South-southeasterly winds revving up toward daybreak with gusts reaching 25 to 40 miles an hour in the lower Hudson Valley by sunrise. And then during the morning, during the first half of the day tomorrow, the gusty winds will continue to increase, possibly attaining speeds of 40 to 60 miles per hour by early afternoon. Now, the strongest winds are going to be found near and along the sound shore of Westchester. I'm talking to you, Mamaroneck, Rye, also New Rochelle. That's where the winds will be strongest in the lower Hudson Valley, right down by the sound shore. In fact, down there, winds could even briefly exceed 60 miles per hour. Such wind speeds are capable of downing trees, tree limbs, large branches, as well as taking down power lines. Now, the last thing that we need in this crisis that we're into with the coronavirus, everybody's been staying in touch with each other through social media, through the internet. Unfortunately, if there is no electricity, there isn't going to be very much in the way of social media or internet or social interaction. So we may very well be talking about places losing power for a while if indeed power lines come down with these very strong gusty winds. I want all of you to be aware of that for the day tomorrow. Now, there's a high wind warning that has been posted by the National Weather Service for Westchester and Rockland County, starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, running until 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, for possible wind gusts exceeding 60 miles per hour. A wind advisory has been posted for the rest of the lower Hudson Valley. You folks in Orange County, Putnam, Dutchess, Sullivan, Ulster. So, maybe it's, it doesn't sound great, but it's not quite the wind velocities that we're looking at for places lower down in the lower Hudson Valley, closer to the Sound Shore area, but still a very formidable wind situation for tomorrow throughout much of our area. And winds are expected to diminish later in the day on Monday, later in the day. Let's say after 2, 3, 4 o'clock, we might see the winds beginning to abate somewhat, but by that time, the damage may unfortunately already have been done. The next thing I want to talk about is strong to severe thunderstorms. Now, this map that you see in front of you here that I held up here, that's 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's continue to move things along here. 11, here's 12 noon, here's 1. Here comes another round of possible heavy rain and shower activity by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and 3 and 4. Now, notice the configuration here of the rain area. This is for 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice how it kind of arcs or bends. This is the cold front. This is the cold front that'll be coming in from the west during the mid and late afternoon hours tomorrow, possibly setting the stage for strong to severe thunderstorms out ahead of the cold front. Now, that possibility will exist here in the lower Hudson Valley late on Monday afternoon. Possibly we may see with that strong cold front a line of strong to severe thunderstorms, and any storm will be capable of bringing a brief downpour, a burst of strong and gusty winds, vivid and dangerous lightning, and even, believe it or not, an isolated, may I underscore that word, isolated threat of a tornado or two. You always have to worry in situations like this. It's not the same as what's happening now in the southeastern states, but still worthy to mention the possibility of maybe a funnel cloud or tornado ahead and along this cold front tomorrow afternoon. But again, isolated. Best chance for any thundery and squally weather will come for about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. After 7 p.m., the worst should be over, with partial clearing setting in later at night. Tuesday, we're expecting more clouds and sun, less wind, dry conditions with temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 50s. In short, and before I get into my final words here, let me bring up for you the severe storms forecast map. This is from the folks at Norman, Oklahoma, who put out the probabilities for severe weather. And notice for Monday, much of the Atlantic seaboard is in line for some sort of severe weather. We in the tri-state New York area are in the zone of marginal risk for severe weather. Just a stone's throw away to the south and west over western Jersey and into much of Pennsylvania, a slight risk of severe weather, and further south down into Virginia and North Carolina, an enhanced risk. Well, hopefully we won't see any of that here, but it would not be surprising if tomorrow the Storm Prediction Center revised their outlook and placed much of the tri-state area in this slight zone for severe weather. Right now we're in the marginal zone for severe weather, and again, the best chance of that happen will be during the midday and afternoon tomorrow. I'm just going to shut down my lens for a moment here as I make a change in the camera angle so that all of you can get a chance now to see me as I close things out here. Excuse me, while I get the camera readjusted here. And here we go. Let me just open the lens again. There I am, right there. So I hope that this has provided you with enough information for you to be prepared for what may be heading our way for Monday. One thing that bothers me is the fact that normally when we have any kind of a significant weather event coming of this magnitude, normally I get an email from my power company. I'm not going to mention who supplies my power, but I'm up here in Putnam Valley. And normally when, again, we get any kind of a serious potential situation, I get an email from the power company telling me, don't worry, we're on top of it. We know what's coming your way. And if anything happens, if you lose power, we'll be right there and try to get that power restored to you as quickly as possible. So far, and maybe it's because it's a holiday, maybe it's because of Easter, but so far, I have not gotten anything from my power company regarding tomorrow's event. I hope they're aware of what's coming. I hope they have enough manpower in case we do see many areas lose power. I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case. But again, that is a very distinct possibility. Whenever you talk about winds in excess of 40 or 50 miles an hour, you have to keep that in the back of your mind that some power lines are going to be coming down. The other thing that bothers me a bit, and I know it's been very serious for many, many days, in fact, for the last couple of weeks, is the coronavirus situation. But still, under a more normal circumstance, I'm sure that many of the people who are in charge of running the government would be advised and aware of what is coming. And certainly, we have seen in the past with impending major weather problems coming, the governors of some of the states, most notably New Jersey especially, have often issued or declared potential emergency situations in advance of the storm. I've heard none of that. I was kind of hoping that in some of the news conferences today that we would hear from some of the officials talking about Monday being a day of active weather and Monday being a day that there may be problems out there for many. Again, perhaps losing power. Have not heard any of that. I again, I'm telling you right now what my position is on the weather for tomorrow. I hope, and I don't want to hear any politician late tomorrow evening saying something to the effect like, well, we weren't expecting this, or well, we thought that it would move on by and not cause any problems, or well, it was more than what we were thinking it was going to happen. You know, all of you who have just been listening to me for the last 20 minutes know now what we're looking at for tomorrow. Know in terms of heavy rain, strong to possibly damaging winds, and possible strong to severe thunderstorms, all during the course of the day tomorrow, affecting the tri-state metropolitan area. You know from listening to me that that is what to be expected. So all I can tell all of you is prepare for the worst. Let's hope for the best. The last thing we need in all of this craziness that has gone on in our lives over the last couple of 3 weeks, the last thing that we need is a weather system that takes down power lines, a weather system that impacts our area to a degree, a debilitating type of weather system that causes flooding problems and power outages and all sorts of stuff. That's the last thing we need. But we just want to alert you that that's all on the table now for tomorrow. I'm hoping that it turns out to be much less than what we had just, or what I've just suggested, and we'll see how it all plays out for our area for the day tomorrow. And we'll be watching it for you. I'll be watching it for you. Hopefully, if I don't lose power, I'll be back on during the day tomorrow with more weather updates. So this is meteorologist Joe Rayo wishing all of you, again, a very happy Easter Sunday, a very happy holiday, and let's all keep our fingers crossed that tomorrow does not turn out to be any worse than what we are thinking of now in terms of the potential for weather here in the tri-state New York area, wind and rain and floods and thunderstorms for tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be in touch. Take it easy. Take care. Be safe.